So the information when we're putting together that blob, I know we used one specific type of storage, which was a PDF uploaded to that storage the internal storage or whatever it was. Are you able to use other different sources of truth, such as, say, I have a website that I could point to, or an RSS feed, or other sort of maybe a QuickBooks or something? Can you use other connections as your source of truth?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So there are a lot of ways, like people write a small piece of code where it scrapes all your website and then indexes into a document, index into this place like in Azure AI search service, and those indexes are going to be available for you to look up on any time from the website.
And welcome back to the Money, the Mindset, and the Mentoring podcast. Today, we have Naveen Krishnan of Microsoft. He works on the Microsoft Azure database structure, if I'm getting that correctly. And with that, he works specifically on AI projects, working for people to help develop tool sets so that you can take your data, make it the single source of truth. I mean, one of the problems that we always have with AI is always look somewhere else. But this way, it allows you to find one single source of truth to say, this is where the only thing you're going to be thinking about. We're going to look up to this and then start making some questions and then really start to getting into the details of that. So Naveen, thank you so much for joining us. You've spent so much time with me on getting set up for today. I truly appreciate the time and effort that you spent because I think this is something important. I think after we went through some of the setup, I know it's definitely not for the faint of heart to start getting that setup going. Having somebody like yourself really help navigate somebody like me into the process, it made it really simple. So one of the great things about the show today is we're actually going to be working with the setup inside Microsoft Azure. And so we can actually see it. So we're going to share screens. We're getting into the juice. And Naveen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for inviting me. So it's a very nice opportunity to work with you and showing people like how we can create a Copilot on a fly within like 30 minutes. So it's a good opportunity for us to showcase like what we have got.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And so when we talk about the 30 minutes, I will qualify that because it did take us about half an hour to 45 minutes to do the base setup, like some of the just systemic stuff. So what I want to do is just kind of high level cover, number one, what is Microsoft Azure for the people who don't know? Because we have a lot of people who listen to the show who have no idea, but they do know what AI is. They know what ChatGPT is and what GPTs are and that sort of thing. But how does Microsoft Azure on a very high level factor into the whole equation of the whole AI experience?
Yeah, sure. So Microsoft Azure is one of the cloud service provider. So basically in like it's and two case, right? So each enterprise, let's say like we have a retail company called Walmart, and all these backend operations and IT operations, they need some kind of server or hardware to run all those programs and software, right? So they have a dedicated setup having installed on their on-prem, which will be sitting close to their development infrastructure or somewhere in two regions. So, and they will be maintaining it. They have a AC, power, cooling, and all this stuff have to go on. And if there is a downtime, then people have to take a car and then run and then try to fix the problem and come back. So it's going to take like 6 to 8 hours of outage. So in order to avoid all this chaos, we came to a centralized approach of having multiple servers hosted by a single provider so that we can get a separate space and then we can host all our software programs and everything on there, so which can help us reach our product more easily and then more securely and more scalable way. So for example, right, so I have a website, like I have like in a day 300 400 users logs in my website. That's my average speed. And suddenly one day I released a promotion and within 5 minutes I get like 1 million 2 million users coming in, and I don't know, I can't go back to the store or order some server and then bring it and set it up, right? So in this case, like it can scale up automatically so that it can accommodate any number of users you want, and you're not going to reserve or no upfront cost, nothing, right? You pay what you use. So that's the beauty of Microsoft Azure, basically.
So it's really what it's doing. It's giving you a scalable version of having your own data warehouse, your own data facility that is completely autonomously managed. It has failover. It has all the best gadgets to keep it up and running, so that you don't have to. And so really, it is, when we use the word cloud, this is really the idea of the cloud, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful. And what does the cloud in Microsoft Azure have to do with somebody who wants to build something of an AI Copilot? Why do you need the cloud for that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, right, I want people understanding on Copilots, right? Copilot is, there are different types of Copilot. Like one is Office 365 Copilot, where you open your Outlook or where you work with your Excel sheet or where you work with your Word document, and you wanted to make a complete Word document, like summarize your Word, summarize your text, and you wanted to write your Excel formulas for you. That's where this Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot, comes into picture, right? And then there is a dedicated Bing chat and other stuff, like where you can talk to it and then where you can get these answers from. So that's one type of Copilot. And for security, we have different Copilot, and different tools has got different Copilot. And so why we need Azure? So to answer that question, if you wanted to build your own Copilot for your enterprise, right? For example, I have a manufacturing industry and I need to have my own Copilot, so where I can control all my data, what I have in my enterprise, and I want my employees to know like how many cars I manufacture and how many things I do and what I buy and where I buy from, and what is a contract and what is a deal and all those, like how much I'm selling every year and where I'm selling all my cars. So these types of details, it's readily available somewhere within your enterprise space. How you can you make those available for your end users or your business or your marketing analyst and things like that. So I wanted to have build a separate Copilot. That's when you need Microsoft Azure for AI. So when you wanted to build your own Copilot, it doesn't stop there. For example, I have an application, I wanted to add a chatbot to my application, then this
Mm-hmm.
helps. And I want to do so previously, right? What we used to do is we have to, I need a report, for example, right? Number of orders placed by a customer in certain day or certain time. I need to create a new report. Then what you go is you go to a data analyst and then you will say, describe your use case, and data analyst develop a report for you, and then you run that report. So it's going to take at least 2 to 3 weeks for that report to be available to you. But you can now generate a report on the fly, like where you can ask this question to ChatGPT, which kind of converts your natural language to backend SQL queries, and then it kind of retrieves the data and summarizes that for you in a preferred format. So there are several use cases where you can use this. So yeah, it's developing. It's not stopping here. There are different use cases that are getting solved every day. So as we keep moving on, I will come to know a lot more about AI.
So we're gonna actually dive into the Microsoft Azure and really start to look at the setup, and then we'll start talking about what the back end looks like, and
Sure.
then maybe if we talk about the front end use case. So once all of the stuff is put together, what is the front end use like when you look at a user accessing that kind of data? Are they going into Microsoft Azure? Or are they going to a web front engine, or what are they using to actually make everything kind of connect?
Yeah, sure. So once we finish this demo, and there is a little piece like where you can get the actual code of our implementation, and then we can hook this up in any of your solutions, be it your web app or be it you create your own Windows utility tool, or you can call this from any other APIs. For example, I have this data, and then I wanted to share this with a different my supplier. I'm a manufacturing company, and I wanted to share it with my supplier. Then you can give this endpoint, and then create a separate access key, and then they can come in and then get the data what you want. So there is no such limit like I can use this for purpose. You can use it, you can weigh how you are building it and the purpose what you are building it for. You can scale, or you can use it for any number of use cases wherever you need. So
Well, I am super excited. I am a techno nerd, and I'm also probably as smart as most of the people out in the audience today, which is I have no idea about half the words that you're using. And so it's great because if I can walk through it, I know a lot of people can too. And so every step that you've taken me so far to get to this point, you've done a fabulous job being able to walk me through those. And I'm super excited for these next steps. So let's rock and roll here. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to take a look at the actually what it looks like to be operating inside Microsoft Azure, and then I'll give you the reins of the voice, and I'm actually going to be using the reins of the mouse. So that is something that's going to be fairly interesting because, again, I am not a techno person, and so I'm excited. So let's go, my friend.
yeah, sure. So yeah, this is what you have, right? So this is your Azure portal and what we just built, and you have a subscription. You have your own subscription, which is created, and you have three resources added for this use case. One is the OpenAI, itself, like where we have deployed our model, like latest model, what's available right now is GPT-4o. We have got other reasoning models like O1 and O1 Preview, but for this use case, we chose GPT-4o. We should have that there is other option like we would have gone to API 4.0 mini, which is like kind of small language model and then saves a lot of cost. But in order this to be a general demo, then we created with GPT 4.0. So that's what we have for OpenAI resource. And one just above the OpenAI resource, you see a storage account. Storage account is nothing but a folder, right, where you can keep all your files. So here in this use case, we have kept one file where we are going to use that file. That file is like if we assume a company called Contoso Electronics, and Contoso Electronics has a Northwind Health plans thing. So where you can query all your health employees can query their insurance details, like what is covered and what not is covered, right? So those types of details are on a PDF file, and then we uploaded them in this blog inside the storage account. That's why we have that here. And the first resource, what you see here, is the search service. Search service is nothing but the PDF input file. What we do is the PDF file, we took this PDF file and we gave it to the embedding model. Embedding model, nothing, what it does is it converts each and every tokens into vectors of 1024 dimension. It's nothing but how you see a single word, right? For example, kitten, chicken, all this are different dimensions of a single word, so that if people come and ask you a question on any dimension, our eyes can see only just three dimensions. So three is like very rare, right? We can see only two dimensions, and three is max. Like here, a single word has got 1024 dimensions, like how a word can be, so that any query you ask from any direction to this PDF document, it's able to kind of get you the right answer from handpicked for you. So that's the purpose why we use this search service. So these are the just three services, and we created this within like
about a half an hour.
within half
Yeah.
an hour to get this
About
all.
half an hour, yeah. So just to summarize here, what we've got is we've got number one, the Azure OpenAI connection, which we use to connect to I have an OpenAI account where I have the APIs available in that account. What this did is it reached out, we set up the connection. It's now connected, and it'll use the tokens sitting inside with my OpenAI account. Then what we did is we made a storage facility, and the storage, I think the word blob or something was used in that whole myriad of setting that thing up. And we use that storage facility to store the documents, which are really our source of truth. So we're saying we've got this, 50-page PDF or something it is about this fictitious company's healthcare program. And so that is the source of truth for this. The last thing is this search service, which what you're saying is it takes that document and really ingests that document, and so that it really understands word by word what are all the meanings that could be deducted or deduced out of each of those words, so that it knows that in the context of the sentence or in the context of the expression, how it could be interpreted. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that probably took me longer to explain it than it took us longer to make it. So that's perfect. Mm-hmm. So the next step we're going to do is we're actually going to move into the next thing. So we've got this set up as our baseline. What do we do next?
Yeah, sure. So we can just quickly show like if you open your OpenAI resource, what we have here. So and go to the model deployments. We can show them the model like what we have deployed right now, and manage deployments. So this take us to a studio, AI studio, where we can
and
see
what I'm
all
going to do is
models.
I'm going to share my screen on that one, because when we manage the deployment, it'll actually launch a different tab.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have to just switch tabs there. Yeah.
Okay. And if you see here, so we have one deployment, which is 4.0, and we are going to chat against the model. So 4.0 is the model which is working behind the scenes. And if you click on add your data, so you can here link your data source. In our case, our data source is blob storage, which we supposed to create, but I think we have already created that. So if you can search for, if you can go to OpenAI, on this search, AI search. So we have already done all this, so that we are not using that subscription, and we have already index the document. So let's see how if that's available on the AI search index dropdown. Yeah. So this is the index what we created. So this all ran behind the scenes, like when me and Steve were working. So all your documents are now embedded, and then 1024, sorry, 1024 dimension is created for each model, and then it is indexed into a database. Now we are say next, Steve.
And we're here. Yep.
And so these are the search types, like what we have is semantic and the keyword. So there are two different search types. In this case, we use semantic since we have all the text and other things. So yeah, go next. And data connections. So since we have not enabled, it's just a demo environment. So we don't want to set up all these managed identities and things like that. That's why we kept it very simple and straightforward. So we are using the API key, what the token gives us. So what the API, OpenAI gives us, and say next. Yeah, save and close. That's it. So now we have the backend configured for this OpenAI. So our request first, what we type in here will be first embedded. So if I say like, hello, Naveen, the word hello and the word Naveen will be embedded, and then it will be converted into 1024 dimensions and then fed to our data. And then it says like, so in this case, it doesn't have Naveen on that data. So that's why what it says is hello. And if you ask something about the data itself, like you can ask anything about the insurance plan or like what is covered.
So while it loaded there, and I can notice it's great because it gives two references, which is awesome, and it puts all that data together. When you're using a GPT and you upload like a TXT file to a GPT, it'll look at that and it'll learn that document, and then it'll give you some of the same sort of outcomes that you get here. What's the difference of doing that versus using Microsoft Azure?
Yeah, sure. So think of, right? So today, yeah, it's like one document and one use case what you're trying to solve, right? So think of a big enterprise. You'll have like at least like 1 million documents, and you want the query to be very fast, right? You should not see any latencies, and it should be a permanent solution. For example, if this source of truth changes at one point and you don't have to care, like you don't, it's not your responsibility to do every time to keep track of all the things changes and then go ahead and run your job and everything. In this case, if we set it up to refresh in certain time frame, like maybe an hour or a day or 2 days once or 3 days once, then it's going to keep on refreshing. And then you can, apart from that, you can have several other things, right? Like your upstream systems may be a lot, and then you have to bring your data to the system, and then you'll have to create your data factory pipeline where ELT or ETL process can happen, and then the data is fed into this. So it's when you integrate with multiple systems, it's always better to keep something on this type of infrastructure so that you can integrate quick, and then you can even the response, right? What happens is when you integrate with the Azure backbone network, so it's going through our backbone network. Nothing is going on public ways here. So the results will be even more fast, secure, and reliable. So that's
so the information when we're putting together that blob, I know we used one specific type of storage, which was a PDF uploaded to that storage the internal storage or whatever it was. Are you able to use other different sources of truth, such as, say, I have a website that I could point to, or an RSS feed, or other sort of maybe a QuickBooks or something? Can you use other connections as your source of truth?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So there are a lot of ways, like people write a small piece of code where it scrapes all your website and then indexes into a document, index into this place like in Azure AI search service. And those indexes are going to be available for you to look up on any time from the website scrap. So
is there anything inherent inside of Azure that would give you that option, or do you have to build that externally to do
no,
that?
we have to build that externally. But there are, if you click on the add your data, and if you remove this data source and then do a add once again, then it will give you the list of options, like where what all we can choose, right? So
Okay,
if you click on this add data source and then the drop down, so these are the things, like I can either
I see.
run
Yep.
all my pipeline and do all everything, and this is the URL website and lot many other. So when I saw this last time, I have not seen this URL and web address. So this is the first time I'm seeing. And Elastic Search is preview. It's the first time I'm seeing. So it changes every day. So a lot
What is
many
it?
plugins.
What is Elasticsearch?
Elastic Search is kind of again it's a AI search type of database. So where it can it helps you search quick, like content what you want. So that's the main purpose.
Interesting. So we're going to go back. We're going to get that set up here. So we're just going to follow what we had before.
Yeah.
And next, get that API key next set up. And get that done. So we're back to here. Perfect. Okay. So what does the next steps look like?
Yeah, sure. So almost we have covered everything, I believe. So if you see here, there should be an option to code. If you click on view code, right under chat playground on the
under chat playground,
the middle plane on the right side.
On the right side. Oh, here.
Yeah, just go up here.
Mm-hmm.
Go up. Yep. Click on view code. So yeah. So here is the code. So you can. So this is the playground what we just use for testing purpose, so that we are good here. And instead, so if you want this to be developed to be an app, like you want a chat app on your chat window on your web application, then you can quickly copy paste this code and then make use of this. So and you
like an iframe.
Yeah, you have to create your iframe and then you kind of have to paste this code behind the scenes so that it works. So that's one thing. And if you close this here.
So we could take this into one of our any of our domains, put it as a. So this is the easiest way to create a chatbot on your website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you can literally just paste it and it's done. Can you change the look, feel around it, or do you have to do that programmatically within the code?
Yeah, that's part of your chat window. So this is the complete logic how it works behind the scenes. So
yeah, that's good.
And previously I used to get a different languages, but I don't know where it's missing. So you can choose your own language of your wish, and then you can do this. And again, if you see other option, you can directly deploy it from here, so that it will be deployed as a web application, and then so you can
deploy it as a web app. Okay.
Yeah, you have to create your own web app, and then you can deploy it from here. So that's one option.
Health sample, a subscription. I got to choose the subscription, right? Subscription 2. Resource there. Location it doesn't come in. Pricing basic, we said, right? Enable chat history. That means it. Does that mean that it creates the what is it called? The thread ID is what it's doing?
Yeah. Yes. So every time you ask this question, it kind of maintains the last 10 conversations so that it can answer you better. So that's
okay. Yeah.
And you can fine tune that as well. So I'll show you after this, like which parameter talks about what. So looks like there is some problem here. It's not able to get your location at this point. So one of these GET requests is failing. Maybe so you are on East US. I don't know why it's stopping you. Maybe you'll have to try a couple of times for it to work.
Yeah, I'll try it a couple times.
Yeah,
I think they gave me the issue the last time when I did this. New Copilot Studio. I don't know what that is. So we're gonna go health test, just so it has a unique name. Maybe I don't know if that's a problem. Subscription 2. Select the resource. There we go. Location came up now.
Yeah, now it came up.
Yeah, that was weird actually. Sometimes it does that, and then it just says, "Okay, now I'm good." It's funny because not every time does software always agree with us, right? And then deploy is not coming up.
Maybe you'll have to choose East US in this case. Try East US because the subscription is on East and
the subscription's on East. Yeah,
East, yeah.
East.
When we created, choose East US. Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's still not.
Yeah.
Change it to a different SKU, the pricing plan. Maybe standard S1 or S2.
Change it to standard. No.
No.
It says wait for
Please wait for the web app. Okay.
Okay. Please wait 10 minutes.
Yeah. Let's give it some time here. And meanwhile, you can close this. And if you click on the parameters here, the third tab, and next to that, add your data.
On the parameters?
Yeah, on the parameters. And just below. Yeah, just next to where we added our data.
Over here.
Just go up. Parameters.
Oh, so this is so that we can actually make it so that it's either slippery in the way it talks or, very poignant in the way that it talks. So talk a little bit about what each of these messages, because temperature, copy, what do all these mean? Let's get some.
Yeah, sure. So a past message is included. It's very straightforward. How many number of history we wanted to include, right? How many number of messages should be included as part of the history? and we have to make sure like it gives you 10, 20 options, 20 messages, right, 20 conversations, but we have to ensure like every time we increase it or we decrease it, so it should be based on the use case what you're trying to solve here.
Okay.
If you make it 20 and user keeps on asking different question, then you will be passing that and you will be charged for all the token what is sent
Mm.
back. So
So will the
unnecessary.
tokens stack because it's got to look back into the previous conversation?
Yes, as much of data, because it's
So
going to build your conversations, and then it's going to be very big when you ask the 20th question. So when you pass that, you may exhaust the token limit what you have.
So when we're looking at tokens, for people who don't know what tokens are, it looks at what set of data in order to value what is a token.
Yeah, token is like, for example, on the right side you see, right, test
Mhm.
your assistant by sending queries below. So if you highlight that, start chatting, and test is a token, and your is a token, and assistant is a token, buy is a token, sending is a token. Sometimes sending may be two tokens. That depends on how OpenAI thinks, right? How they are. So that is separate URL where you can where you can check what's the size of a token. This complete
Mm.
sentence comes out. So there is a way, there's a open, there is an endpoint, or you can build your own tool to calculate the number of tokens or what it takes for this particular sentence. So that's a token.
So is the word "the" a token?
The token, yes.
Is the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious one token?
No, it's not.
So how many
So
tokens
it
is that?
splits. Yeah, it splits. So that depends on their internal calculation. So we don't know the logic behind the scenes, like how that's being calculated. So if it's like something, all right, if it's medical report, or if it's like octopus, it may be one token, or sometimes the same word will be a different token. So it's totally depend on that. And we have certain limitations for the current model. It's like 128 maximum token limit what you can ask for GPT-4o. So
Oh, 128. Okay.
yeah, 100K.
Okay. Okay.
And so the max response, you can control that max response. So that's again cost involved in that. So
Yep.
whenever if you wanted the output to be very detailed, you can make it like K or K. If you are going to write some documents, or if you are going to prepare your own marketing template or things like that, you can increase it to any number you want. So this is the maximum number what you can choose here. But I think we have some quotas where you can raise it to this number, raise this number.
Okay.
And the third parameter, temperature, which controls what exactly you want, right? So if you want to have, if you want it to be more creative, then you will bring down your temperature, and if you want the exact answer, then you'll increase the temperature to 1. So usually 0.7 is what we choose. Top P is something similar to that, accuracy and token levels and things like that. So if you click on, it's similar to temperature, it controls the randomness, like it won't let you go out anywhere and then get that some unwanted stuff. So instead of that, we can kind of control this.
So right now it's at 95%. Does that mean it still will look up to the internet or its own data sources for 5%? Or
No, it's not about looking at the internet, like how it generating your response, right? So what word it writes as part of your response. So it's not like level of internet where it goes. So it's like controlling the word, because it's generative, right? It's generating words. So how you want that word to be generated. So that is controlled by this.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
And to be frank, I'm not sure. I have not used all these 2, 3 parameters.
So
So
yeah, then
that's what it's all about. And one interesting thing is the system message. If you go to add data, before add data, you see a system message.
Mhm.
And system message is the thing, but you can tell it how to operate, right? You can say that like you will have to get information only which is right, or you can this is a set of context, or like how we instruct the model to be, right? You have to behave in this way. So that's how it takes the details from. For example, in one case, one simple case, what I say, right? If I wanted to convert my natural languages into backend code, then I can say like how those natural languages, right? So every terminology is different in every place, right? Like people say good morning here, and then someone says like good morning in a different manner. So we can instruct like if you see the word this, then it means good morning. So in these types of instructions can be fed here. And one more other thing is your token is counted for this context as well. So every time you pass a message, this context goes along together, so that you have to make sure this context what you write is crisp and enough.
Oh,
Right?
so
You
if
can
you
write
write,
in more story.
okay, so this is where you're really, would this be considered like a prompt in ChatGPT, where you're giving it sort of a prompt to say you're a CEO of a company who has this kind of a background and thinks this way, you follow these books, you do these things, so then it has that kind of as like a framework for the way that it decisions things?
Yeah, yes. So you can also tell it like what tone you'll have to respond back, right? So you have to be
Okay.
very kind. Or if you are developing an application for a kid or education, then you can say
Hmm.
it in a word like how you have to behave and what types of content. So that still there are content safety and other things, but you can control here to some extent. So
So it could be like, you will answer everything in the form of a poem,
yep,
right?
yep.
And then from this point going forward, it's going to make sure that it responds as a poem. Yeah, that makes sense.
And when you do apply change here, the right side chat goes off. So if you have any chat histories, you have to save before you do any apply changes. So
Perfect. And so, yeah, that's fantastic. And so again, what it's really doing is it's giving you the access to the LLM, but then what it's doing is giving us a spot that we can actually put it out. Now, we just saw that the deployment failed. I know that stuff happens in technology on a first pass. We can see here, boom, we just got a nice little poem going on about prescription drugs and Medicare. And so it's great. It's always good to have some creativity. And so now, how can we serve this thing up? So let's talk about the next thing. Obviously, an end user is not going to go into Azure to work with this information. They're going to have a front end on it. So let's finish off with a really good front engine.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've created a really good application that's looking up data. It's having a fun way of presenting it. We want to put a front engine on it. We want to handle that deployment side of things and put this out. So I know we did a first pass here. Let's do our second pass and get things working perfect on this deploy to a website.
oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and hit try once, and then let's see how it works this time.
Perfect. Now, what is that to a new Copilot and Copilot Studio? Just if you could give a little bit of context to what that means.
Yeah, which means it's kind of added feature to your Copilot is what. So Copilot Studio is something where you build your Copilot, right? So if you want, you can just move it there, and then you can use it as your own Copilot. So that's a capability what just recently came out, and I've
Can
not
we
tried
just
it.
can we try what it?
Yeah, Copilot is nothing but something which is available for you, and then you can ask it any question. So that's Copilot. So everything what Microsoft built today is like Copilot, right? So if you have Word and if you have Excel, the initial story what we talked about, so that's just a Copilot, like which sits with you closely. And if you have any questions in between, right? So for example, yesterday I was doing a Excel sheet for a formula to do a VLOOKUP, and for some reason I was doing it at like around night 1:32, and I'm not even. I lost my energy, and I don't have energy to think. So
Yeah.
that's when I turned on the Copilot, and then I said like I have these three columns. I want to look up the third column with the first two columns, and give me the value of this. So it can just write a formula for me, and then I copy paste the formula. Boom! It worked within a second. So that's a Copilot basically.
And is it looking at the actual application itself, or is it?
No, you are asking the Copilot to say like these are the three columns, and this is how my column is, and you just copy
Oh,
paste
okay.
those column, and then give me the formula for this. So
Okay. Interesting. And yeah, that's fantastic. So let's go back and see if we could do this deployment again as a web, and we're gonna name it as in test web health thing, right? And the subscription you use is subscription 2. The resource we're going to use is this one. The location, should we try Canada East, or should we, because that's where I am, or do we try US?
I think yeah, I would say better to stick with US East US too, so that
East US?
avoiding surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And which package should we be using on this one?
Choose S1, maybe S1 or S2. So,
This one, okay.
yeah, now it
Manage
lets you
hello
deploy.
history. Deploy. So now what we've done is we created a database that's been accessible via any sort of front-end application that you want to build out. But that database is really, and when I say database, it's a series of documents. And as you said, some companies have thousands of PDFs of documents and thousands of different sources of data, and they want that data to be accessible easily by people within the organization. And so by using this tool of the Azure system, using the LLM, the ChatGPT model to access that data en masse, you can create a very simple front engine to be able to access that data. Does that sound like,
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it even sounds like I actually kind of knew what I was talking about, which means you did an absolutely amazing job being able to share the information with me so I can share the information with everybody here. So thank you very much for being able to go through all of that. That's been super, super helpful.
Thanks, Stu. It was nice working with you.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. Like, it's always so exciting to geek out using new and exciting tools. And I've played with this a long time ago and I got very confused, but having somebody be able to walk you through it on a step-by-step basis becomes really and it takes something that's very complicated and makes it very simple. So a guide is so important on that. Now, if people do want to do this and they do run into roadblocks, what would their next steps look like when they're building this out?
Yeah, sure. So we have enough documentations here. So at Microsoft.com, so then go check all the documentation. It has got step-by-step instructions. And at the bottom, it has also got frequently asked questions like if this problem happens, how you solve that, right? And you can also make use of Azure Copilot, so where you can ask this type of like how can I deploy this, or how can I integrate to this piece, or you can use GitHub Copilot even, like I have this piece of code and how do I build a chat bot inside. So those types of things can be done. And also if you have your Azure subscription with the support plan, then you can raise a support ticket and someone from Azure will jump in and then help you. And if you have any other questions, like more broader questions like how you can use it for this case or this case, and you wanted to have some open discussions, please feel free to reach out to me in LinkedIn. So if I get some time, I'll definitely happy to help you anywhere as possible.
Well, it's definitely been a fun journey, my friend, and you've been so open and thoughtful about every step of the way, and really appreciate it. And it's always good to put a face behind the people who are behind the scenes at Microsoft making all the magic happen. So excited to have you on the show and excited to go through this journey. And again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. And don't forget to follow me on my blog. So it's medium.com, AI with Naveen Krishnan. So I have a lot of blogs written about AI and how you can implement AI for these types of cases. Please feel free to read through that and then get better.
And what's great is, guys, it's down in the notes, in the show notes. So go out and check it out at podcast.stevehamoen.com and you'll see it in the show notes, the link so you can check out his blog. That is fantastic. And guys, this is the money. This is the mindset. This is the mentoring podcast. It's been a very different one, a very exciting one. And again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.